Well, everybody, what a win. What a fantastic win for Leeds United as we go to the King Power and batter the Foxes. One, I will say, source of goal scoring for Leicester City was hitting the wingers 3-5-2 system, and it was Fatawu, it was Mavididi, but it was mostly Fatawu throughout the entire game, but nothing was happening. Their best chance was at the end. Heroics from Milan Mele, a wonderful save, it has to be said. I've been his biggest critic, but a wonderful, exquisite, match-winning save from Milan Mele, but that is not the tale. Leeds United utterly dominant throughout the entire game. Transition. Counter-attack. They could not live with it. And I said at the start of the game, I said in the preview, it was going to be interesting to see how we dealt with Leicester, how Farke set up against them. What he did was Glenn Kamara was just absolutely phenomenal. I don't know what he did there, but he was filling in at left back, he was filling in at right back. In those central spaces, he was excellent as well. And he had a bit more of a forward role as well. But Glenn Kamara in that game was unbelievable. I think Leeds were just so dangerous. And in the first 2 minutes, we should have been 1-0 up. Yo Pro with an unbelievable chance. Just wide. Should have got it on target. Jorginho Rutter a minute later should have scored. Penalties, potentially to Somerville, potentially to Rutter. Leeds were all over them. They could not handle this press. Leeds were pressing Hermansen, we were pressing Faes, we were pressing Pereira, who when he was going back into that back four, we were pressing Vestergaard. They could not deal with the Leeds United press, which I was saying in the preview, we need to put on them. And they were going to put a press on us. And how would we deal with that? Well, we dealt with it very, very nicely. I was upset against Stoke City. I was upset against Southampton because Leeds couldn't play through the press. What did we do this time? We had super silky operator Glenn Kamara in there who'd be able to take the ball on his back foot in tight spaces in a press. That is the difference when you've got Kamara in there. That's why it was madness starting Gruev, no disrespect to him, against Stoke City, but Kamara in there was unbelievable. Ampadu, just in that double pivot with him, was a destroyer, a ball winner. I will say it was one of Ampadu's best performances in the last sort of month. Rodon and Strout were unbelievable. Joe Rodon is a colossus. He is unbelievable. He wins everything. He's fantastic on the ball. He rarely makes a mistake. And he's everything you want in a centre-back. He's a leader. He's an instructor. He's a conductor. He's absolutely everything you want in a centre-back. Ilan Mele was doing my head in for large periods of the game, even though he wasn't being called into action. A lot of you might think that's harsh. It was just some of the decisive decisions where I wanted him to catch the ball toward the end. And I was thinking to myself, Ilan, this is where you need to come to the fore, get Archie out of a bit of bother. He wasn't doing so. However, wonderful save at the end. You're going to have to give him high marks for that. Now, move on to Archie Gray. Mavididi, Archie Gray. The big bill at the start of the game. The big bill. You're looking at this man who's tearing every fullback into he's inside out. He's tearing them to pieces. Archie Gray stood up. If it was a boxing match, he'd have won it on points. Majority win. He was excellent against Mavididi, stood him up, would go down the line with him. When he cut inside, he'd be shouting at his central midfielder, "You go, you press on him now. I'll go get the fullback who was they were deploying a little bit of an overlap there from the centre backs at points as well when they were pushing into Leeds United's half. Leeds were just all over the pitch, very, very good. In that first half, I was getting very frustrated at Yo Perot. I still think Leeds haven't figured him out. I still think Farke hasn't figured him out. 8 touches in that first half. However, we don't want to focus on that. But I was actually saying in the first half, let's stick Bamford up there because at least we have Rutter in the 10 then, Bamford up top, and at least you can have a presser. Whereas Rutter at points, I don't really know what he's doing. He wasn't even marking Harry Winks in that first half when he was dropping into that midfield space. And he had, I didn't really know what his place was. In the second half, he came into it a little bit, was getting the ball, was releasing it a little bit quicker, and Leeds looked a little bit more active with him in there. But overall, I thought Dan James was a little bit poor in the first half as well when it comes to chances. I was calling for him to maybe for him to be substituted for Willie Nyonso in that second half. But then he puts in a ball, which is, he beats the first man. Great anticipation by Sam Byram. Heads the ball down exactly where you want it. Rebounds out. Rutter's there. Pandemonium. And what I loved about it, everyone, is the celebration, not only from the players, but from the fans. It was exquisite. It was a real moment. It felt like a real moment in Leeds United's season. We've just been ticking on so nicely. The Stoke result was an anomaly. Everything else has been excellent with Leeds United. We've been really kicking into gear. And that's why it's so disappointing against Stoke, because you feel you can just win with the assets we have. Anthony coming off the bench, Gruev coming off the bench, William Nyonso coming off the bench. His coming on, by the way, for in the 89th minute. I wonder where his future's going to be in January, but that's a different topic for a different day. But Leeds United, I have to say, were very, very good in this match. Special shout out to Rutter, who I thought came to the fore a little bit in the second half. A couple of bad fouls on him by Winks and Cassidy, who I thought let them down a little bit in the midfield. But overall, don't let anybody tell you any different. They created barely anything in that game. Name me 2 or 3 clear-cut chances they had. They didn't really. It was the save at the end from Illan Mele when he was called into question. That's what I was talking about with his focus. I wanted that to develop. Illan Mele's focus when he's not been called into action throughout the game. He was called into action then, and an absolute mesmeric save. So plaudits to him. I'll give him shout-outs when he's done really, really well, and he needs a shout-out there. Very, very good. But overall, Leeds were the dominant team. Transition, as I mentioned at the start, was always on, and they couldn't deal with it. And in that first half, that press, which I was calling for in the preview, was excellent. Leeds turning over the ball, and it was all about the decision making. It was Dan James, it was Somerville, it was sometimes Faze, Ricardo, and Fatawu was a little trio, were marking him out the game, and he was a target because teams know now that Crescencio Somerville is a target. So they're trying to get him out of games, and Leicester paid particular attention and particular respect to the Dutchman, the Dutch winger who's absolutely flying in the second half. He was imperious. He was very, very, very good, and he's so frightening. When you've got the pace of Dan James and Somerville running at you and just in behind that midfield, if they're a little bit further up and they're relying on that back, the back sort of 7 to do a job, any team's going to be frightened of that. What Leeds have to do now is we have to go to Plymouth and we have to beat Plymouth at home is what I'm saying. We need to carry on this momentum. And now Ipswich have had a game midweek against Fulham. I could be eating my words here, but that's going to tire them out a little bit. They wanted to go far in that competition. They've got Birmingham away tomorrow, which, as we know, can be a real problem area. So there's a real potential for Leeds United to make up ground this weekend. Real ground. And then we'll all have a little bit of a boost, won't we? Because we just want a little bit of a boost. Because when you're having these teams winning week in, week out, it's a problem. But we've grabbed Leicester back now, haven't we? And we know they're very, very far ahead. But we're saying in the preview, they're beatable. They are beatable. It's just the rest of the division, I'll be honest with you guys, and I've said it in the preview, is trash. Aside from 4 or 5 teams, it's trash. So it's been easy for Leicester to play at 5, 6, 7s out of 10. Not have to play at 9, 10s out of 10. It's easy. And that's why when you get a really good team coming to town, Leeds United, they could have been Leicester's kryptonite, and we definitely were tonight. I'm just going to get into a few of your comments, everybody. There's 139 comments in. We were great tonight. Ipswich's XG was about 0.3. Kamara was unbelievable. We have to batter Plymouth. Need a 10-game win streak. Kamara, brilliant today. Leicester and Ipswich have only lost 3 games all season. 2 of them was against Leeds. Great 3 points and fully deserved. That's the thing, mate. We've given these teams head starts because of the start of our season, which we had Sinistera drama, where we had, all the drama of Mark Rocker going, Aronson, all these players who were leaving the club, and it was chaos. We were trying to get players in, and we gave these teams who had productive windows head starts, and that was the big issue. The problem is, as I was saying in my preview, this is being ruthlessly capitalised on by Leicester and Ipswich. But what we've shown against Leicester and Ipswich is Leeds United are here. Leeds United are here. We're not going anywhere. And we are the team that is going to be challenging you lot right till the end. And what we've got to start getting rid of, and it sounds ridiculous because you can't win every single game, but the thing is, these 2 teams have been winning every single game. You need to get rid of these little anomalies, the Birminghams, the Sheffield Wednesdays, the Stoke Cities, the Plymouths on Tuesday night. So we need to go and eradicate these teams, beat these teams, and keep that momentum going, because unfortunately, with the precedent that these 2 teams have set, Leeds need to keep stepping on the ignition. There's been a super chat in the building. Stephen says, "Hi Stephen, we've gone and beaten the 2 top teams in their own homes. No excuses now. No effing around with the playoffs." It's just been a bit of a gauntlet laid down, hasn't it, Stephen? I think, and that's been the big thing for me during that game. We battered them. We did. I'm sorry, you'll get some salty Leicester fans coming on. I'm still, I was expecting to sit here tonight and, no bitterness whatsoever. I was expecting to see Harry Iniesta, Harry Winks just dominate the game. From what I've been seeing online about Harry Winks and how good he is and how Ampadu couldn't lace him or Kamara couldn't lace him, I was expecting to see him tonight dominate the game. That's what happens when you come up against a proper midfield in Ampadu and Kamara. You get put down a little bit, which is where Harry Winks should be. And this is what I mean. He's been dominating teams who are trash with the utmost respect in this division. There are trash midfields as we've experienced. You come up against a proper midfield arguably a Premier League midfield. And it's like, yeah, get down there, little boy. Get down there. I know what you've done's good, but you're coming up against a proper midfield in this one. Kamara and Ampadu were outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. Kamara in that first half was, in my opinion, the best 45 minutes we've had from a midfielder this season. Press resistant, never lost the ball. Decision's brilliant. When he was pushing up, every decision was excellent. Left, right, backwards, forwards. Sounds really basic, but when you can do that with your left and your right foot, some player in there. The complete player tonight, Glenn Kamara, Ethan Ampadu. A destroyer, just a destroyer, but not all that. We're not talking Tyler Adams here, not just a destroyer, someone who can do so much more, and his football IQ is excellent. Want to talk about the referee on a little bit of a negative note there. Thought it was despicable at the end when Archie went down with evidently a little bit of a problem with his ribs, and he was essentially told to get up by someone who should be protecting the football players, especially when you got a 17-year-old there who's not actually wasting time. But the referees always halt play for time wasters in the Premier League and the Championship consistently when they're winning games. But when Archie goes down with a genuine issue with his ribs, the referee tells him to get up. I thought that was absolutely despicable by someone who's supposed to look after players, and especially when you've got a 17-year-old in there. Let me just read some of your comments out, everybody. Roden on Kamara were excellent tonight. The cream has risen, says Phil. Excellent game, mate. It was, Mark. Drama of Mark Rocker going, give it a rest, Connor. It was a godsend. What a weird comment. Shut up, you weirdo. Get on with it. We played as a ruthless team. Thank God. Right, okay. Bit odd. Bit of a dodgy comment, that. But yeah. Marathon, not a sprint. Points per game is getting there now. Is that our best 11? Good comment there, mate. Best 11? I think it was. Yeah, I think it was. I think, we're seeing Leeds hit gear now, and there's a little bit of familiarity that needs to, come to the fore with a lot of these players, and I think we're getting that now. They're getting each other's patterns of play, each other's trend, the trends during games, where they're going to be, where they're not going to be, where players can, for example, if Kamara's got the ball, should he play it into that space? It's going to be different for Nonso as it would be for Dan James, and when you get that familiarity with wingers, with central players, that's only positive for the side, and I think that's what we're getting now. We're getting a squad who's together. We're not really getting Anthony coming in, then Nonso coming in, then James going out, then, all of these mix-ups, which we thought, which was happening at the early point of the season, isn't happening anymore. And consistency, as we know in football, breeds success. Fantastic results, says John. If we hit the ground running from the start of the season, we'd be top, no doubt. It was unbelievably hard. Kamara was unbelievable. Hit the like button, folks. Yeah, guys, there's loads of you in the building for this one. Please hit the like button. There's over 1,100 of you in the building. If you're not subscribed to one of these fan channel, what are you doing? We did a watch along tonight, which they scored the goal, and I was on mute. But you can see my facial reaction, so I'm sure a lot of you will clip that up. But yeah, great team selection. Spence does still have to come in. Jarvis says, great team selection. Feel like we're just warming up. Games should feel easy compared to this now. Not underestimating other teams, but the quality difference is massive. We should be getting also, yeah, 100%. Statement win that, Connor. Agree with you, Mark. Connor do be looking like Rodon. This is it, mate. Honestly, when I see Joe Rodon, I just go out and get his haircut. Smash a like. Appreciate that, everybody. Utterly superb performance. A clean sheet. Who had that in their parlay? Yeah, exactly. And even when Gruev come on, he was loving a bit of a tackle, wasn't he? And I loved it. I loved the performance from start to finish. I thought Leeds were excellent. Honestly, I thought we were really, really good. Dominant. Just exquisite, strong leaders across the pitch. I was seeing leaders in Ampadu. I was seeing a leader in Kamara who was talking to the referee, if anybody noticed that, when he was coming on for the second half. A little bit of gamesmanship there, and I love that. Just that little slyness that Leeds haven't had over the last 4 or 5 years. We've been a bit of a nice touch. Dan James strolling off at the end, making sure he's pulling his socks down and getting his shin pads out. Just that little bit of shit housery that Leeds haven't had in the locker for a number of years now. And listen, it was excellent. And the options we've got off the bench are there to behold. Leicester brought on Iheanacho and Chowdhury, and you're looking at that and thinking, bloody hell, that's a good level. That. Then you've seen Leeds bring on Anthony, Nonso, players of that ilk. Gruev, who's still got ages to go in terms of his development, but he's got a lot of plaudits. It's Leeds, we're cooking and we're playing really good football, and it's a good time to be a Leeds fan again. Let's bask in this moment. Let's all be positive. And yeah, excellent news. Just a question, Connor. Where do you think this Leeds team, would finish in the Prem? I don't want to get onto that now, mate, but I still think teams right now would struggle in the Premier League. You've got to think all of these teams that we're playing in the Premier League, they just dispatch you. Bang, 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 bang. We all know what it's like. We were there the last couple of seasons where you'd see the ball going in, you'd think, how's that gone in? Quick transitions, quick counter-attacks. But that's not what we're here to talk about this evening, mate. That can be a further video. We're here to talk about Leeds' win. Then you see Alien and Bamford, I know, mate. I know. Brilliant game since Leeds United school. Old school, dirty hat. Yeah, I didn't think Parade the best game, to be honest with you. Nice to see us being able to defend. I agree. I thought the defence was just fantastic, actually. Sujal, I thought, as I've mentioned before, I thought Rodon was just immense. Strout, though. Strout was so good tonight as well. Byram, you're bearing in mind Byram was on a yellow. But I thought what was really interesting tactically is in the second half, you saw Somerville coming across. You saw Kamara coming across. Really intelligent from Farker, but the players as well, to understand that Byram's on a yellow. Byram was being... He wasn't... In the second half, he wasn't isolated against Fatawu. It was a lot of the time that he was cutting inside and almost joining a 3 centre-back so they could block the cross. So it almost turned into a back 5, back 6, because you get Somerville then going up against Fatawu, or you get Kamara going up against Fatawu 1v1, because that was a problem. So Farker didn't substitute Byram because he rated his quality, which I wanted a substitution on. I really did. But what Farker did in that second half was really good when it came to Sam Byram. Stayed on the pitch for the full 90, wasn't isolated against Fatawu whatsoever, and Kamara and Somerville were able to just go up against him and force him inside or force him to put the ball in. And that's what they were doing. They were just forcing the ball in a lot of the time. They had 2 moments, Leicester, in the game. They hit the bar out of nothing. And there's a big chance at the end for Dewsbury Hall, but we had way more moments, and we dominated that game. We dominated that game, in my opinion. Connor, are you concerned about Perot goal drought? I'm not concerned about him. I'm not concerned about him as such. I'm concerned about how Leeds are fitting him in. 8 touches in that first half, and I don't really get the plan with him at the minute, and whether or not he needs to become more of a presser, whether or not we need to really solidify that position as him as a number 9 and Rutter in the 10. That's a different question for a different day. But he needs to figure out what to do with him, because at the minute he's still a little bit disjointed, in my opinion. Melee played well, says Stephen ? Didn't have much to do, mate. He literally, I can't think of a shot they had, really. I mean, obviously they hit the bar, but aside from that, it was the save at the end. They didn't do anything. They didn't have a shot on goal, really. That second half, there was a point where Leeds had 7 shots and they'd had none. And that's the dominance of the second half performance. Leeds were excellent. Byron played well. Yeah, I agree. Alien on for 3 minutes, lost his head. A great save. Melier, get rid. Yeah, Edward, we don't want to get into too of the negative stuff, but it's not negative in my opinion. A lot of it is realism. He came on and lost his header. He'd have been blamed massively for that, because Dewsbury Hall just wanted it more. So yeah, it was poor from Ayling, but he got out of jail by a wonderful Elan Melier save. Happy for Dan James. He's finally starting to come into his own now, says Ryan Dudley. How is Ampadu doing this season? Aaron says exceptionally well, mate. Best midfielder in the chat. We were told, and I don't want to drum on this, but I was told Harry Winks was the best player in the championship, the best midfielder in the championship. Comes up against proper midfielders, and then, where is he? You just can't complain with that effort. Leicester fans had clappers and still silent all game. And they're all leaving. They're all leaving on 80 minutes. Your team have won about 50 games on the bounce, and they're all leaving. East, West Stand, clappers down on the floor. They're all going. Flipping heck. Support your team to the end, or what? You've lost how many games? And they're all going. They all looked upset. Bloody hell. Maresca had his head in his hands. Flipping it, lads. On for a record amount of championship points. But yeah, crazy stuff. Gray, good this evening. ? Yeah, unbelievable. Unbelievable. He was so good, Archie Gray. And if you want my praise on him, go to the start of this video. But he was just exceptional. Exceptional against Mavadidi. Won the boxing match against him when it came to point scoring. And yeah, just overall, really buzzing with that, everyone. Listen, it's Friday. We've got the whole weekend to chill out, celebrate. We've beat the best team in the league who've taken one bloody nose all season. Leeds United have reeled them back in. A perfect weekend would be for the Brummy boys to do us a favour tomorrow and beat Ipswich, and we can reel them back in. And this is the momentum we need. Leeds beat Plymouth on Tuesday night. And it's back. It's back. The chase is on. Colin's in the building. We thrive tonight, says Ben Shrimpton. Great win. Should have been more. I believe that they have been lucky. We have broken the chain. Leeds straight up second. Premier League teams in action tonight, and Leeds the better team. March on together, says Colin. Thanks for your donation, mate. Yeah, we just look so good going forward, mate. So good going forward. And at the back, we're strong. I thought we struggled tonight. Strout, please mention Strout. Let's talk about Strout. They were warriors. We had warriors tonight. Warriors who were putting the heads everywhere. Ampadu was putting his foot in everywhere. Ampadu, Rodon, Strauch, Byram, just hard Leeds players. Modern era. You can't play those. You can't be that tough tackler anymore. You can't. Football's not designed that way. You get a straight red. But you can be tough in the tackle, and you can be ready to put your head and your foot anywhere. That's a warrior nowadays. It's not all just about brutalising the opponent, but it is about, putting your head in everywhere. And that's what I saw tonight. I saw effort, I saw endeavour, and I saw passion, and I saw aggression. And Leeds fully deserved that. Don't let any Leicester fan tell you that they deserved anything there. That would have been an absolute smash and grab if they'd have got a draw at the end there. All the possession, but no punch. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure to be with you tonight. If you want to, listen, if you want to join a watch along, I'm going to try doing them a little bit more often. We're in this setting. I'm on my sofa. We do a bit of pre-match talk with Gabe, halftime talk with you guys, and then we're doing this afterwards as well. Really appreciate you stopping by. Please leave a like on the video. Go watch my muted celebration, but you can see my facial reactions, and I'm sure it'll be clipped up on social media. I'll give it a retweet on One Leeds if anyone can be asked. But guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Enjoy your weekends. Let's hope that the Brummy boys do us a favour tomorrow. Thanks for all your donation. Thanks for all your support, and I'll see you in a bit, guys. Cheers. Oh, hold on. We've got some. I'm so happy. Come on, Leeds. Is there anyone like a Rutter? There isn't, mate. So I'll stay on for you just for 2 minutes. There isn't anyone like Rutter. He's the best player in the division. Shove your Keenan Dewsbury Halls up your arses, Leicester. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I'll see you in a bit. Cheers.